obviously, Harvey is not here today, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Right now, we got to get to some really dramatic testimony in the Ahmaud Arbery case because all three of his alleged murderers were in court by video this morning. They are still in Glynn County Jail, but they appeared, as you can see, by a video monitor for a preliminary hearing. This is basically to present to the judge the evidence they have so that the judge can determine whether or not there's enough to go forward with a trial here. So prosecutors put one of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation detectives, put him on the stand to testify about what he's discovered in this case. And I got to tell you, we've seen the video, and the video is graphic, it is tragic, it is horrifying. But when you add to it what this detective says he heard about the scene, it is really, really alarming. So this is the detective talking about moments after the killing, what he was told Travis McMichael said. Travis McMichael is the one who pulled the trigger during the scuffle with
the 34-year-old.
Right. So here's the detective.
Mr. Bryan said that after the shooting took place, before police arrival, while Mr. Arbery was on the ground, that he heard Travis McMichael make the statement.
Blanking N-word. That's what he was told by William Bryan. Now, remember, William Bryan himself is the third man who is involved, who was the third alleged murderer here. He is the one who actually recorded that video as he was following Ahmaud Arbery from behind. The detective also testified about William Bryan's actions that day as he was driving behind Ahmaud Arbery. And when you hear him talk about this, it really sounds like he was hunting him. That's the way it sounds. There were many twists and turns around that neighborhood as he tracked down Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah, and what he said, Charles, I mean, essentially William Bryan was using his truck to try and box Ahmaud in. He'd try and go one way, William Bryan would maneuver his truck. The McMichaels were coming from the other way. He also testified that they had found traces or pieces from a white cotton T-shirt that were consistent with those of the one that Ahmaud was wearing. They found traces of that on William Bryan's truck. So unclear if contact was ever made between him and the truck.
Right.
But another thing that was interesting, they brought up Travis McMichael's social media history, and he frequently used racial slurs, and that's kind of the picture they painted of this guy. And it seems to be an accurate one.
Yeah, as you're talking, Brad, I'm just thinking of what must have been going through his mind when you have somebody following you on a truck and you are worried and probably worried for his life. And obviously we know what happened. When these situations happen, and particularly with this one, I said, are these guys just the lowest scum of the earth, or was this racially motivated? And then when you hear
this,
that when somebody's dying on the ground and there was this alleged slur directed at them as they're on the ground, shot and dying, there's the answer. And this is just so despicable and disturbing and sad. And now, and if anyone didn't know if this was racially motivated, I think you have your answer now. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and you know, Brad, you're right, Mike. It's like everyone thought that, and now you have the detective on the stand making it pretty clear. I mean, it's clear cut that that's what this was about. And I know there was another part where the detective said that that the older McMichael, that Gregory McMichael, had said something to the effect of, "I didn't know Ahmaud Arbery, but I instinctively knew that he was a criminal." Well, what are you basing that on other than the color of his skin?
Right. And the GBI has said that there's no evidence that Ahmaud Arbery committed any crime, took anything from anywhere. So, right, there would seem to be only one thing, one reason why he made that assumption, and it's racist and it's despicable.
Brad, one other question about the racial slur that was allegedly used by Travis McMichael. Mm-hmm. Why did the police address why did William Bryan tell police? Because that makes it sound like William Bryan is dropping a dime on Travis McMichael. So were they working together, or did they address that?
From what they described, he was just working to box him in. And look, he's charged with the same crime they are. maybe this is him, like you said, dropping a dime saying, hey, this guy said this. This guy clearly had hate. I was just trying to keep him for the police. But he's definitely seems like he's trying to separate himself.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like, I don't know, no honor among thieves. That testimony is really shocking. By the way, Lee Merritt is the attorney for Ahmaud Arbery's mother. And he told us that something, and we've seen Lee Merritt is also working in the George Floyd case, working with the Floyd family. And now there's going to be these two tragedies will sort of come together because Lee's told us that Ahmaud Arbery's mother will be in Houston on Monday to attend George Floyd's memorial service there. We've spoken to Wanda Cooper, and I'm seeing this video, my heart goes out for that woman. And the day we spoke to her, but she wanted to be there to support George Floyd's family in Houston during that memorial. So
I think they're both families are fighting for justice for their sons, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And you want to, when you're going through something that's awful and a tragedy, I think you want to be around other people who understand what you're going through. And I don't know that anybody probably understands each other better than the Arbery and the Floyd family. So this makes a lot of sense that they would be there. I think it's a really kind and a loving gesture on his mother's part.
Shelley Daly from Brampton, Ontario. Honestly, I'm not surprised by what was said, but I am disgusted. At the end of the day, this just proves what many of us already knew, that Ahmaud was not killed because he was guilty of anything, but because of the color of his skin. And that's a reality that many of us know too well, and that in itself is terrifying.
Yeah, something broke in the country, and I've heard a lot of people use this phrase, that something snapped, because not only because of the video of George Floyd, but because this was just weeks after we saw the video of Ahmaud Arbery's killing. And you have two incidents where you have video that show so clearly two people who were killed, and now we know with this testimony, who were killed, hunted down and murdered from what we see on the video. So obviously there will be trials in both cases, but this is, it's scary. It's scary, and it says something about the state of things in the country.